Good morning, everybody. I'm your host, Crystal. This is another edition of the 9 o'clock Meltdown podcast. And over the phone, I have the wonderful and talented multi-artist Kent Dean. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Excellent. And now, last time I saw you, you were actually in a play up here for the Duluth Underground, a sector of the Duluth Playhouse up here. But before that, did I meet you at an open mic? Was that where we met?
I think what actually happened is I had seen a posting for someone looking to entertain kids at the Damiano Center, I believe.
Yes.
Just for like a guitar, piano, and I was like, okay, I'll do this. So I believe that was our initial introduction.
Okay, excellent. Yes, those were the days way back when.
I know, right?
Yes. So I had met you through the Damiano Center. For those who aren't familiar, the Damiano Center works with low-income families and the homeless, providing them with meals, clothing, and information about different places to stay and to seek help and things like that throughout the Northland. They're one of the oldest in town, actually. So yes, I seem to recall you came in and I think you said the kids requested a lot of rap songs from you. So I think you tried your hand at that with the guitar, if I recall correctly.
That is correct. I don't often do that, but for some bizarre reason, that was the flavor of the day. So yeah, it was an adventure. What can I say?
Good, excellent. And now, Kent, besides being a very well-versed actor and things like that, you are also a well-versed musician as well.
Correct. Yeah. So I currently live in Nashville as an artist here. Initially, I trained classically as a pianist for a number of years, and then I taught myself guitar, and songwriting flowed naturally out of that. It wasn't one of those that I thought I was going to pursue long term until actually just a number of years ago. But yeah, it's so indeed. So I do still dabble into acting, and my agent's out here as well. So that's kind of why Nashville became the epicenter of where I focus my attention.
Excellent. An agent? Wow, look at you living the dream.
Well, that's what we're trying to do anyways.
Yeah. So what brought you out to Nashville? I mean, last we had spoken, which granted, I mean, that's been several years ago now. I believe you were still up here in Duluth or kind of in the Midwest area here. And you had a day job and doing the whole kind of 9 to 5 thing. What changed? What brought you out to Nashville?
So last we spoke, I believe you are correct. I was living in Duluth. I transitioned from Duluth down to Minneapolis to be closer to some roles and acting opportunities down there, acting and music as well, kind of dabbling in music at this point. And then when I got a call from this particular agent out here in Nashville, that's what actually put my Nashville on my radar as a very viable option. I'd been considering it for a while. And then I got the call, and they're like, hey, yeah, we'd like to sign you. And so I flew out to meet with them and then just fell in love with the town. It only took a couple days, and I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely moving out here.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, Kent. Excellent. Tell me about this journey, because I'm kind of curious. And, I've talked to a lot of different artists, a lot of indie artists that kind of do it themselves, the whole DIY thing, maybe doing it on Patreon or Kickstarter. What was that process like for you? I mean, I know like I said, I've talked to artists, that have signed on with labels, signed off of labels, are trying to get labels. What kind of insight can you offer?
Oh gosh, it's like a loaded question.
Yeah.
I think there's a number of things that I've noticed kind of uniformly across the board, whether it be in the Midwest or in Tennessee or even LA when I lived for a couple of years, and that's authenticity. It's staying true to yourself, and a lot of people think that when you're like acting or when you're performing on stage, it's putting on a facade and it's putting on the show, and it is to an extent. But there's a difference between those that I think are true artists in the sense that they're speaking what they believe, as opposed to those who are speaking what they think people want to hear. And there's a level of respect and attraction that people find to those individuals that are authentic. That's my number one thing that I'm currently working on. While I'm an advocate for it, I'm by no means perfect at it, but that's where I find the most receptiveness to, even if people per se don't jive with your particular style of music, or they think that your lyrics could be stronger, or maybe they didn't like your role in acting. If you're an authentic individual, they'll still respect you and respect your craft, and you can go a long way with that.
Perfect. And I've heard that across the board, no matter where people are at in their journey being an artist, whether that's being a painter or a musician or even an actor, that authenticity really kind of rings true through all of it. So that's awesome. I mean, to kind of get an agent, I mean, you said that he had reached out to you. Did you have to put together a press kit? Were you doing shows? Did you kind of throw your name in a hat out to a firm? I mean, how did you land?
Well, this one was actually they found me, in all honesty. So you may or may not have been aware of this. I think we chatted about it before. But I was in LA for acting and went to Santa Monica Baron Brown Acting Studio for. So I was there for a number of years. And during my time out there, I kind of got a feel for the whole, what it took to get started, at least as an actor. And that's the majority of it is building up an online presence and building up your online profiles. And there's quite a number of sites that you have to be on for agents and talent scouts and people booking projects to find you. Mm-hmm. And I had done that for quite a number of years prior to even knowing about this agency. And as I started to pursue more of music, I kind of let it slide, which was terrible, but I had. And then inexplicably, one of their talent scout had found me on one of those sites. It just reached out, was like, hey, we're interested in the possibility of signing you. And I was like, oh, wow, that was kind of out of the blue. So I think it's more of once again, it's just an availability, making sure that you are out there, putting yourself out there and being in the places that there's the chance for people to meet you and you to meet people. And that's what happened there. So they reached out. I flew out about 6 weeks later to go meet with them. And and now we're still working at it. What can I say?
All right. Perfect, Kent. Perfect. That's absolutely amazing. And, something should be said for an online presence as well. A lot of things are done now online. I mean, especially with the current climate, COVID and everything else. That's kind of where people are getting their information. That's where people are viewing shows and things like that. So, yes, something should be said for having an online presence. But let me ask you this. Now, you had said that you were on different websites and things like that. Now, something should be said for having a social media presence as well. And I've had a number of artists tell me that social media now is key versus having a website. Has that been your experience?
Yes. Well, I would say yes to an extent.
Okay.
If you don't have a social media presence, then the website's pretty much going to be nondescript, unless you're someone such as like Taylor Swift. But obviously, they have a massive following and a massive social media presence and an impact on those sites. For starting out artists, it's critical to start to develop that social media presence, because that's the only way the majority of either your fans or friends or people you connect with across the years will stay connected with you. And so, yes, that's critical. I am an advocate for maintaining a website as well, especially if you have multiple outlets you're trying to, get involved with. So me personally, because I do acting and music and kind of a bunch of other things as well, maintaining a website for me is kind of one of those I need to keep it all together in one spot. So people that are interested in one thing can go to the central bit, and there's obviously the links to your Instagram and your Twitter and your Facebook and all of these things, but the central location is really helpful, I think.
All right. Excellent. Amanda Palmer has really been a big advocate for, speaking your mind and doing what you love. And she's been a big advocate for going right to the fans versus going through an agency and, fighting that uphill battle and things like that. I know Tegan and Sarah, just to throw out some more names, have really gone through their social media now versus their website, especially now that no one's really touring or anything like that. Kent, how has your music been going down in Nashville? I mean, now that kind of touring is off the board for now. I mean, have you been doing a lot more online videos, more streaming?
Well, currently, you've actually caught me in a period of regroup. So I just released my first official single on Spotify and Amazon So
Wonderful.
it's out there on iTunes, Amazon, the whole thing, and that one's called Gypsy Heart, and that one was released about 3 weeks ago. From there, I took a step back because I released it, and I was very happy with the product itself. But I knew there was a lot I needed to learn, and a lot I needed to prepare for my next one and my next release, both in even for just the music side of it, but also the acting. So what I'm currently working on is due to COVID, basically everything is shut down. There's no live events anywhere. They're starting to do these drive-in concerts, which is a really unique feel. I've not been to one yet, but it's the big artists like Keith Urban, I think, is the one that did the last one. Currently, what I'm trying to work on is regroup on what we just mentioned about the social media sites and getting all of those together and kind of preparing for where I want the uniformity across the board, because that's another deal that I have with social media, is that there needs to be an effort behind them. You can't just haphazardly throw something out on there. Once again, people have told me this throughout the years, and as much as I hated it, at the time, but it becomes a necessary evil at times, and I think there can be a great value added to people's lives by using it if it's used correctly. So yeah, what I'm working on is a lot more writing right now, just kind of getting back into the creative space of writing more music, and focusing less on the playing out and recording, and then also working on developing like the friendships and relationships with people in this downtime when everything's not quite so breakneck pace.
Right. Well, that's absolutely fabulous that you have an agency you work with, that you're down in Nashville now. I've heard horror stories about Nashville that, musicians are a dime a dozen down there, and it takes a lot to stand out. So that's awesome that you're already with a firm and an agency that can kind of push you through the crowd, so to speak.
Right. Well, you're not wrong about I wouldn't call them horror stories, because to be fair, most of the musicians and artists you'll meet in Nashville, while it's very true that they are a dime a dozen, like you will go, the number one question you can ask you, so are you a musician or are you an artist? Do you do music? That's like the cliche answer in all of Nashville, and 95% of the time is, oh yeah, yeah. So you're not wrong. But the beauty of this town, I think, and the artists and the musicians that you'll meet here, is that everyone is trying to be so genuine. And so even if they haven't made it to the top yet, if they're just starting, they just came into town, they're really nice people to be around. That's what I found. And that's, I think, partially what drew me to this town, is just the way people are just open to connect with people. And I find that very attractive. So.
All right, excellent. It sounds like there's a sense of community down there.
Very strong, very strong sense of community down here.
All right, perfect. Kent, can we talk about your time in LA?
Oh, sure. There's not a whole lot to tell about there. It was more of a training ground, I suppose, like breaking into a whole host of things. But yeah, absolutely.
All right, sounds good. And now you went down there for school.
Yes.
How was it down there? Now, I have a cousin that went to music school out in LA too, and he has all these stories about, running into Keanu Reeves and, even working with Patrick Swayze as an extra, blah, blah. So how was it down there? I mean, when people think of LA, they think, the glitz, the glamour, the money, the expensiveness of it all. How was your time down in LA? Another loaded question, I know.
It is. Gosh. So it was good. The short answer, it was good. I thoroughly enjoyed LA. I do intend, hopefully, I visited a number of times since I left, and I have a number of friends that are out there still, who are still pursuing acting endeavors. Actually, I would plug in for one of my good buddies who's out there. He's in the highest grossing crowdsourced television show ever. So it's called The Chosen, and he went to the same school as me, so go check out the show The Chosen. It's a good show. It's very religious based. It's about the life of the Bible character Jesus and his 12 disciples. So it's a very religiously based show. But he's a fantastic actor, and this thing has been making waves throughout the online world right now. So.
Yeah, perfect. What part does he play?
He plays it's a primary character. I believe his name is Thaddeus, is the name of the character. And obviously, because it's set in like couple thousand years ago. These names are all.
Right, right. Yes. Oh, perfect, perfect. I'll have to check that out,
But
definitely.
yes, so sorry to cut you off there,
No.
but I enjoyed my time out there a lot, and there's definitely a different pace between LA, even the Midwest where we met, and Nashville. LA is more driven, I think, is the word I would use for them.
Mm,
Whereas Nashville is kind of relational, LA is just very driven. So it's everyone is on a mission basically,
mm,
and
mhm,
I think that tends from the sheer density and amount of people that are there, as
mhm.
well as as you mentioned before, the high cost of living, that it just requires such a dedication to make an impact and to make it work.
Right, right. Yeah, and you're not the only one to say that. I interviewed his name is Andre. He and his husband run a little acting school up here in Duluth. I don't quite know where they're at these days, but they were going pretty strong a few years back. And they were out in LA for quite a while, and they just said, it's so fast paced, it's so driven. People are like, you got 30 seconds or less to impress me. And they didn't really care for it, honestly. So good for you for cutting your chops in LA. I mean, that's kind of a big marker to kind of start with, and then, go to where you've been. Usually people do the reverse of that and try to get into LA.
It's true, and yeah, Nashville is what we call the biggest small town. So I
Okay.
grew up I grew up kind of on a farm in Wisconsin. I'm initially from Chicago, but so I'm kind of a country kid at heart.
Yeah.
But then I left when I was 6 to, and that's the first time I actually saw like the ocean and the LA vibe. So it's pretty remarkable when you start to travel kind of as much as I do across the country. You see how very different it can just be just to land in a different city, and it's quite a journey. I find it exciting, to be fair.
Yes, I can attest to that. My parents distilled in me the travel bug, and they'd
Yep.
take me and my brother with on wonderful trips. I'm not ungrateful for that at all. And then in college, I got to spend 2 weeks in Scotland, and yeah, definitely the travel bug. It definitely helps kind of open your eyes to the greater world around you.
Yes, it does. It does indeed.
Excellent, Kent. Excellent. So you just dropped a single. It's on
I did. Yep.
iTunes, Spotify, things like that. How has the reception been for that?
It's been good.
Good.
Obviously, as a very first single, and not a whole lot of connections like with major sources yet. It's primarily like the folks that I know around Nashville have been able to network with here. But so far, the reception has been almost entirely positive with it. So that's a great bonus. I think the coolest thing about that single, in all honesty, was Chris Daughtry. I don't know. I'm sure you know the name Daughtry. So
Yes.
through the engineer I was working with, he connected me with Daughtry's kind of bandmates there, and Daughtry's bass player actually played the bass line on the track. So that was fantastic. If for no other reason, go listen to it for that, because that is a killer line he found on there.
All right, perfect. I will play it after this interview for everybody to listen to. Excellent. And, actually, something that I learned from my time doing Berkeley Online, that's what they really said. If you can get in with a label, your label connects you to other people who are actually on the label or have been on the label. So it's a great connector. So that's really cool to kind of see that come forth and be palpable. That's really awesome, Kent. That's amazing.
Right?
Let's jump into, I guess, a little bit more of kind of the contract side, if you can. I know sometimes they're really hush hush, other times they're really open ended. What kind of what kind of label, I mean, are you on? Is it really kind of an open ended? Is it kind of more free? I mean, you hear, not to cut once again into mainstream, but 30 Seconds to Mars got sued by their label. AFI couldn't put out a couple songs because they were too close to somebody else's. How has your label been? Has it been pretty giving, or has it been kind of restrictive?
Right. Well, and I think I probably gave this gave this impression. I actually don't. I'm not currently signed with a label.
Oh,
So
okay.
the engineer that I worked with is the one that connected me. But it goes hand in hand with exactly what you said with meeting the people that have the connections, because he works with the labels a lot. So I personally have not yet signed.
Okay.
I've signed with the agent that I have out here is for my film and acting and like television, film, that all of that going on. For the connection side, which we're referencing, so you're absolutely right. It's even just having like an engineer who you're friends with who works with these labels. He can put you in and connect you with that. So I have yet to broach the signing contractual obligations yet, and I'm a little bit hesitant to do that as of right now, because as soon as you do, I've spoken a lot with him about it, and I've spoken a lot with artists who have signed, and a lot of times, especially when other people's money gets involved, they want to have a significant say, or can want to have a significant say in what it is that you're doing, the kind of music you're putting out, what you're writing, who you're working with, and it can become restrictive. That's the understanding I get from some of my friends who are signed. It can also be, you're absolutely right, liberating in the sense that they have connections to people, they can get you into rooms with people and meet them. But for me personally, I'm still working more I'm adopting the independent mindset for right now. I'm trying to move forward towards building a career. I'm building a kind of a brand, if you want.
Yeah.
That,
Yes. Good
that
for
is
you.
outside of a label at the present moment. When the time comes, yes, but
Yeah.
not just yet.
Perfect, perfect. Yes, I just did an interview with my friend Mary Bew, and she had been working with an agent and things like that, and it didn't necessarily fall apart, but they just kind of separated, went their separate ways, and she ended up launching a Kickstarter campaign to release the album that she had done with this agency and things like that. So she kind of went back to her DIY roots to get everything rolling. So good for you for kind of recognizing what it is and taking the reins and doing it yourself. That's excellent.
Well, thank you. Yes, it's a challenge for sure, but I believe the journey's worth it. So.
Wonderful, Kent. Wonderful. And anything else on your plate? I mean, you just released your single. Are you going to do a music video along with that? Any live stream shows coming up?
So not just yet, but
Okay.
you're right on with that topic there, because especially with COVID, I've kind of been reassessing the nature of where the industry's going, and if the most recent like news headlines are to be believed, there might not be major live shows again until 2021 or 2022. And that is kind of for artists and touring artists, that is tragic and heartbreaking, but it also begs for new artists and folks like myself who are kind of just entering the industry, or just a couple years in, to wonder maybe the old ways are done, in the sense of what I had initially come to Nashville to do, to meet people, write songs, to get all that released. So I think with the movement on to online, where it's starting to go is the live shows. But the big one that I'm starting to kind of prepare for, and will be doing hopefully by, what is it, this fall, I think, is when I'm trying to schedule for that to start, is Twitch TV. So Twitch primarily has been a gaming platform, but there has been a major push to get artists and musicians and singers and songwriters and to use that platform to both promote their own brand and to promote the streaming service. And they just had a major artist sign exclusively with them. So I believe Twitch is actually going to break out within the next couple of years, kind of like YouTube did back in, I think, 2005.
Yeah.
So, right.
Yeah.
So I think Twitch is going to be the new source of discovery for musicians and artists and singers and songwriters, because there's no cost to get onto it, and it enables that authenticity and that relational connection with people just from all corners of the globe that you want and you crave when you do music and you want to attend music and shows, but you can't. So especially in the world of COVID, where everything shut down personally, I think Twitch is going to really expand and grow, and that's kind of what I'm driving towards in the near future.
All right. Excellent, Kent. Well, now I'll have to get a Twitch account, right?
You actually don't even have to have an account to watch it. That's the beauty of it.
Ah, even better. Even better.
I know.
Excellent.
So it makes it easy for people to connect with you without much legwork, and then you can, you keep the work up on your side to make sure there's something to connect to.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. Even better. Excellent. Yes, I to kind of attest to what you're saying, I mean, as soon as COVID hit, my friend Teague Alexi, and Ian Alexi, for that matter, Hobo Nephews of Uncle Frank, I mean, they immediately jumped on the Facebook Live stream. Hannah Ray jumped on Facebook Live. So there's been a lot of Facebook shows going on. And then I've also noticed that there's this bigger surge in Instagram TV and doing kind of live shows or live, banter or whatever it is kind of through that platform as well. So there's lots of different streaming services out there. And excellent. Twitch is now going to be another one that we can jump on and do. Wonderful.
Exactly. And I'm an advocate for it, actually, for a number of my friends out here, because the big difference you'll see, so if you have Instagram TV or Instagram Live and you do Facebook Live, a lot of your audience is going to be people you already know. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be your friends and even your fans and people that you already know, but it's going to be harder to reach new people. Mm. What Twitch does is it actually expands that to the extent of it's kind of like going back to old school television. Okay. So if you're just someone who wants to jump on to Twitch TV just to watch something, you can go to the music channel, if you will, and then just keep browsing. Mm-hmm. And you can just flip through, and then be like, oh, this artist looks interesting, right? Mm-hmm. So there's no filter for it, and you can just be yourself. You can create an image, and there's a great potential to connect with new people, new fans, and new friends that you've never actually met before.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. So it's kind of like back in the day of Duluth, when I'd just go out and, there was a poster hanging up and, go see this show, and I'd walk in and see if I liked it or not, and then bounce to the next one, right?
Exactly right. That's exactly what I would do in Nashville as well. So the only thing that changed that was COVID.
Yes. The only thing that changed that was COVID, and now up here in Minnesota, we have the mask laws, which I think is a good thing, kind of keep everybody safe. But there are differing opinions across the board, definitely, as I'm sure there are down in Nashville as well. But Kent, that's absolutely wonderful. I am so glad you found a home for yourself, that you're launching your career, getting things underway, doing a little bit more DIY and exploring that realm of things. I wish you the best of luck with everything.
Well, thank you so much, and thanks for having me. This has been a pleasure.
Yes, of course. Keep in touch, and we'll talk to you on the flip side.
Absolutely. Thanks, Crystal.
Yep. Bye.
Bye-bye.
But I should go. It's not an easy road I follow, and you could wait, but you should know my reckless heart may never come home. So don't delay, move on, find your way. It's easy to forget a lone ranger and make or break in this game I play. Never stay long enough to be more than a stranger. A restless heart, you've got me betrayed. You say you want to stay, but you're nothing but a runaway, and far apart is where we remain. No matter what you say, I know you're nothing but a runaway. Yeah, runaway. Tune as if our heads about to pray, while reckless stars in that sky's display, symbols of the dreams that fade away when morning breaks. My restless heart, you've got me betrayed. You say you want to stay, but you're nothing but a runaway, and far apart is where we'll remain. No matter what such claim. I know you're nothing but a runaway.